Big names are about to be moved. Brian Robinson Jr., Trey Hendrickson, even Breece Hall? Here's the full breakdown of who might be traded and why it might change everything. The big drama this year has been Trey Hendrickson and why the Bengals are unable to get a deal done. They're willing to pay offensive weapons, but they're unwilling to get his deal done. Yes, he is older, but he has a huge amount of sacks the past few years, and he is well worth the money that he deserves. Who is a potential actual team who might take on the Trey Hendrickson train, and what would that cost be? And I think the big one is the Green Bay Packers. They have already reached out to the Dallas Cowboys and have offered a specific package for Micah Parsons, but what we do know is more than likely Micah will not be traded, and it does not make sense that that would happen. If the Green Bay Packers are really needing a pass rusher, why don't they just go get the one that is available who can have a day one impact in Trey Hendrickson? And now let's talk about what the team would be acquiring in Trey Hendrickson. And I mean the cost. $18 million in cap hit this season, and this is not including a potential big contract extension that would need to be paid out on day one. We do know that the Cincinnati Bengals are looking for a young ascending player and a potential day two pick. So more than likely, it might cost a second round pick and a, startable player that the Cincinnati Bengals would like. Maybe an offensive lineman, maybe a defensive end. So to me, it makes a lot of sense for the Green Bay Packers to make a move like this, where they have a very young team and Trey Hendrickson could come in and have a day one impact for a potential Super Bowl contender.
How about the Philadelphia Eagles? Howie Roseman's always willing to go all in. They have a good amount of cap space still. They do have some draft capital. So you think about the Eagles and then maybe even the Chiefs. The Chiefs always looking to get better. Then those are a couple teams that could be in play.
So now let's hit jet speed. We're going to run through quickly and hit on some specific names, and we are going to provide you some insight on each one of them, starting with Brian Robinson Jr. from the Commanders. He is on the trade block. They are wanting to move off. They have younger, exciting players behind them that they are willing to play and offload Brian Robinson as he is on his last year of his deal. He does cost the team that is acquiring him $3 million or so. So the acquiring team would need to take that on. And potentially, what are the options? Like, who is willing to trade for him? And one of the big teams that I look at, the Cleveland Browns, there's a big amount of questions regarding their running back room, as their second round pick, who has had legal issues, has yet to practice. I just want to put out there the other team who I think should be in talks, but probably won't be because of the division that they're in, is the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't see the Dallas Cowboys making a move. I think they're very content with the running back room. Should they be? Absolutely not. Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, and Jaden Blue, a fifth-round rookie, is not inspiring anything in a running back room. They absolutely should be in on Brian Robinson, but to Mike's point, I don't think they will for a couple reasons. One, the Cowboys like their guys. They're set. And then two, it's in the same division. I mean, that's tough. They're obviously going to ask for more, and even as the Cowboys do, they want to win the deal, and they're not going to win a deal against a team in their same division.
Brian Robinson has had 20 touchdowns in the past two seasons. He is still an effective player, so the team that is acquiring him potentially might be getting a home run at a discounted price.
So Breece Hall, rumored to be on the trade block. The Jets have a young, standing, coming up running back in Braylon Allen, who's been getting a lot of work in training camp. So it would make sense for them to try to maybe recruit some draft capital and give Braylon Allen more time and Isaiah Davis behind him. A couple teams that could be interested. I mean, you brought up the Browns for Brian Robinson. I think they make sense for Breece Hall too, especially since, they're more likely maybe have some salary cap to give him a new deal that he's eventually going to want. And then I think this one makes more sense for the Dallas Cowboys, just because it's not in the same division. It's a young running back, shown potential, shown that he can be the workhorse. I think he fits a lot of what Brian Schottenheimer and Clayton Adams want to do in their running back room. They want a guy that can hit the hole, a guy that can go side to side, hit swing passes, run to the right, and A and B gap. I think that would be a good move for the Cowboys.
So let's talk cost. What would it cost for a team to acquire Breece Hall? We'd even say about Brian Robinson as well. Specifically with Breece Hall, more than likely it would be a day two pick, which makes it extremely unlikely at this moment in my opinion, for Breece Hall to actually be moved. You're not going to really sign a expiring contract at this point for that cost. More than likely, likely if he is moved, it will be at the trade deadline, and it would probably cost maybe a mid-round pick where the Jets are knowingly expecting him to leave in free agency and just want to get some sort of compensation now. Brian Robinson more than likely is already going to cost a mid-round pick, and that makes a lot of sense because it seems more like they just want to move him and they're not necessarily looking for a premium pick for a guy who is, an above average to an average running back. Where Breece Hall, he's had some struggles running the ball, but he is a talent as a receiving back. And I think that is a big part of a lot of teams that they want in their offense.
Another thing about the Brian Robinson thing that I'll add, he didn't play in their preseason game. Him and Terry McLaurin were actually, neither of them were at the field for the preseason games. I think that it's all but likely he's traded. I would be shocked if he's not traded within the next week or so. I think they are more than likely already fielding calls, already getting an idea of what they want. I think it's inevitable that he'll be traded by week's end.
Now, these other guys are more than likely not a trade candidate, but they are rumored to be on that because of salary, because of the end of their contract. Starting with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has been a disappointing tight end, and of course, as a fantasy owner, you know that. You know how disappointing he has been.
Yeah.
Let's fade that. Let's look at him as a player. I don't see it happening. I think him staying with the Falcons this year and building up a connection with Penix makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't hurt, even though his salary is relatively expensive for the team for the production that he gives. But if he is moved, it more likely be at the trade deadline and not now, because more than likely the value that the Falcons are wanting is a lot higher than what teams are willing to give up, especially since you have to take on a big portion of his salary or the entire thing, which is about $10.8 million, which I don't really expect it.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts, as far as a fantasy asset, has not been great. But even for the Falcons, as an asset for their team, has been even worse. You can chalk it up to bad quarterback play. You can chalk it up to talent not being realized. You can chalk it up to lazy motivation and work ethic. Regardless, Kyle Pitts has been an absolute bust so far in the NFL. It's not even close to anything in the last 20 years besides maybe Jamarcus Russell. He is just absolutely not panned out for the draft capital they spent on him. Now, with Michael Penix coming in, maybe you give him a chance this year. Maybe you get some, boost up some of that trade value going into the trade deadline, and then maybe you can make a trade, maybe recoup a third-round pick or a fourth-round pick or something. But I think if he were to get traded right now, best you're getting is a comp pick, man. He has not been good at all. Why would a team give up anything of value when there's no reason for them to? So I think he more than likely either walks or they just try to get a comp pick for him, a fifth or a sixth or something close to the trade deadline. I think that's what we're looking at with Kyle Pitts.
All right, two guys that I want to really focus on are some young players who are potentially on the move or might be cut. Starting with Malachi Corley, who was a third-round pick for the New York Jets in 2024. He has not produced, and as of right now, he is playing really late in games. He's not playing until the fourth quarter. That's a concern. He's only played 14 snaps in his last preseason game. Concern. More than likely, he's a bubble guy with a new head coach, a new GM. They did not draft him, and more than likely, he is going to be off the New York Jets. I expect this guy to potentially be moved for a late-round pick and or waive. Watch the 49ers to go get their Debo clone.
It would make sense for the Niners to take a shot at him for sure. I mean, they just traded Debo Samuel, and Malachi Corley coming into the NFL was looked at as the next Debo Samuel. I mean, they were talking about how he was going to be the guy that could run after the catch, get a lot of yak. He hasn't panned out at all. I mean, it would make a lot of sense because the Niners wide receiver room is absolutely decimated right now. So it would make sense for them to take that chance right now.
Last one is Jalen Polk, and he was the 37th pick in the 2024 draft. He has not panned out, and everyone thought this guy was going to be the next superstar. He has yet to do so. New head coach. Things are changing. More than likely, the 37th pick in the NFL draft in 2024 will be on a new team. That's shocking.
Yeah, Jalen Polk, once again, another guy, just like Malachi Corley, very similar. The Patriots thought highly of him once they drafted him, and there was a lot of talk, especially in the fantasy community, about him being like a late stash pick, but he hasn't panned out at all. And I really don't know what the Patriots will do. They'll probably just waive him. Just like Malachi Corley, I don't think they're going to get anything for him. I think the best that they're going to get is maybe a sixth or a seventh. Maybe they'll swap a seventh and a sixth or something. But I think the best bet for both these guys is just to get cut. I think they'll just end up cut, and a team will be able to claim them or sign them outright. Who do you think is going to get traded week 1? Who's not getting traded? Who will get traded? Let us know in the comment.